Greetings. This is Esther with Starry Blessings Astrology. It's October 10th, 2018. We are in the midst of a Venus retrograde period. Venus is moving retrograde back through the sign of Scorpio back into Libra. And it's going to give us a very extended length of time of scorpionic energy. Venus goes retrograde every 18 months, so it's not as common as we might be used to hearing about Mercury retrograde, which is coming up. But Venus retrograde is very significant because whenever a planet goes retrograde, we're focusing more on the energy of that planet. And Venus in Scorpio is really about getting into those very deep emotional places inside of you. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, so it's like kind of the Navy SEAL of the zodiac. So if Venus, the planet of love and attraction and money and resources, and if that planet is focused in the deep emotional depths of Scorpio, this is an appropriate time for you to do some excavation in your own emotional treasure chest there, and what needs to be released. Are you holding on to jealousies, or are you being possessive with your stuff or around other people? Are you feeling disappointed or betrayed, or have you had these experiences and did you kind of shove them away because you didn't want to deal with it, or it was too painful, or you didn't know how to not feel those things? So Venus retrograde in Scorpio says, hey, let's get in there and dig up some of those emotional stories and let's clean them out. Let's shine some light on them. Let's feel them. Let's feel the sadness and the disappointment. Let's feel the betrayal and say, okay, those are emotions. Those are feelings. They can be like clouds. They can move across my consciousness and I can let them go, or I can super focus on them. I can think about them over and over again. I can feel them over and over again, and I can never release them. So, you get options here. Forgiving yourself for making choices that you did that maybe ended up giving you experiences you didn't want. But how do you know what experiences your soul really wants? Maybe your soul is very scorpionic and wants to know what it feels like to feel betrayed, to feel let down by someone, or of course, on the positive end of the spectrum, feel intense, passionate connection with another person. Maybe you've really come in to have a wide range of emotional experiences, and you can forgive yourself for not being like maybe somebody else who isn't having that experience, because we're all having our own unique experience. So Venus retrograde in Scorpio, whether you're like a highly emotional person and you're totally cool with like crying every day, I pretty much cry every day. I think I have a pretty cleaned out emotional system. Or if you're like totally blocked up and haven't cried, since you had your diaper changed, well, this would be a good time for you to delve into that area, and with help, with a healer type, healer person. Highly recommended. I work with John Wingflower and the nervous system release work because I love that for releasing trauma in the body. Because here's what happens. Everything you've experienced, you're like, gets stuck in your body, like pain in your gut, or a pain around your heart, or a pain in the neck. I mean, these kind of chronic ongoing physical conditions and emotional conditions are trapped energy. And this nervous system release work is so gentle, and it helps you to release the experience so that you can move on to your soul potential. That's what I would recommend. Mercury has just entered Scorpio. Mercury is going to go retrograde in mid-November for 3 weeks in Scorpio. It's the day after Venus goes direct, so there's a little switch of the planetary movements then. We'll be talking much more about Mercury retrograde on a different YouTube. You can check that one out as it comes out. And Jupiter is also ending his year-long trek through Scorpio, November he's going to move into Sagittarius. So there's this overlay time here that we're in right now, which is highly scorpionic. And it's going to get more so next week when the sun moves into Scorpio as well. So you're getting a flavor of it. And it feels intense. There's intense things going on in the collective. If you listen to the news or watch the news, you know, it's highly traumatic to the system if you take it all too seriously, which it's good to take seriously to a point. And then also you have to keep your vibration high so that you don't fall into the muck of, you know, we're only presented with some of the information, not all. We don't. So having emotional responses and only some of the information can really move us off our center. And we want to stay as centered as possible all the time, neutral as possible all the time. So Mercury is a planet of communication. It's how you think, it's how you write to people, it's how you speak. Mercury and Scorpio, youch, you know, someone might say something to you, you're like, well, that was painful, or that really went to a deep emotional chord in me. And so not to get too attached to that, but just to watch your own intensity. You know, you don't want to, you know, push your energy out at people like a fire hose. You know, you want to be respectful. Even if you're feeling something intensely, doesn't mean you have to like vomit it all over them. You can, you know, manage it in another way. Or you might be the recipient of that. Somebody might say something to you that feels very emotionally hurtful, or there's an act that's done to you that feels emotionally hurtful. So you get to see where you are no longer neutral and where you have a charge. That gives you all the planetary energies, wherever they are, whatever they're working on, gives you personally the opportunity to work on yourself, to neutralize emotional responses, anything that throws you off center, because you want to be as centered as possible for all these amazing changes that we're experiencing. You know, it's just like if you're, you know, standing in a river, in a creek, you want to stand with your legs apart, you know, so that you have stability, right? So it gives you the flexibility because you want to be centered and balanced. And that's how we want to be in our lives every day. And usually it's our emotions and our mind that sends us off into all kinds of crazy stories, and then we're like off balance. I highly recommend meditation. I have some meditations on my site, Starry Blessings Astrology. You can do a 9-minute chakra blowout clearing. That's great. And there's some guided meditations from John on there as well. And meditation is great because it just calms your mind. And we need to be calm as we traverse these very chaotic times. So as Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and then next week the sun moves into Scorpio, use this time to go deep into your emotional treasure chest, dig out any crap that needs to be released, and use that energy that you've been holding on to, emotions that make you feel bad, transfer that to like passionate emotions that make you feel great, getting creative, really connecting with other people in a very deep, emotionally loving way, and work on receiving more love, work on loving yourself more. You are love always, and you will always return back to love. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Esther with Starry Blessings Astrology.